Sometimes life feels quiet, even when the world around us is loud. You wake up, you move through your day, you smile at people, but deep inside, there is a space that only one person can fill. Love is a strange and beautiful thing. It doesn't ask for permission before it enters your heart. One moment you are strong, independent, walking your own path, and the next moment, someone becomes the reason your heart beats a little faster, the reason your world suddenly feels warmer. And then one day you realize something powerful, something almost terrifying. You realize that this person is not just someone you care about. They are not just someone you like. They have become your peace, your strength, and your home. Because real love isn't about possession, it's about connection. It's about that one soul who understands your silence, who sees the pain you try to hide, who stays beside you even when the world feels heavy. And when that kind of love enters your life, you don't just want it, you need it. Not because you are weak, but because love like that becomes a part of your existence. It becomes the light that guides you through your darkest nights. And that is why today, I want to talk about something honest, something deep, something many people feel but are often afraid to say out loud. A truth that comes straight from the heart. I can't live without you. Because sometimes loving someone means realizing that life before them was just surviving, but life with them feels like truly living. Love has a strange way of entering our lives. It doesn't knock loudly on the door. It doesn't announce itself with grand speeches or dramatic moments. Sometimes it arrives quietly, almost invisibly. One day you are simply living your life, walking through ordinary moments, carrying your own thoughts and dreams, and then suddenly someone appears. At first, you don't realize what is happening. They are just another person in the crowd, another voice in the noise of the world. But slowly, something changes. The way they smile stays in your mind longer than it should. The sound of their voice feels familiar, even when you've only heard it a few times. And without even noticing it, your heart begins to move toward them in a way you can't control. You try to stay calm about it. You tell yourself it's nothing. You tell yourself that people come and go, that feelings fade, that life moves forward no matter what. But love, real love, has a way of ignoring all of those logical thoughts. Because when someone truly touches your heart, they don't just become a part of your life, they become a part of who you are. And that's when you start noticing the small things, the little details that nobody else would ever understand. The way your mood changes when they send you a message. The way your day suddenly feels lighter just because you know they exist somewhere in the same world as you. It's strange, isn't it? How one person, just one soul, can change the color of your entire life. Before them, the days felt ordinary. You woke up, you worked, you rested, you slept. Life moved forward, but it felt like something was always missing. Like there was a quiet emptiness somewhere inside your chest that you couldn't explain. But when they entered your life, something inside you woke up. Suddenly, the mornings felt brighter. Suddenly, the nights felt softer. Even silence felt different when you knew that somewhere they were thinking about you too. And maybe that's the moment when love stops being just a feeling. It becomes a presence. It becomes a quiet force that lives inside your heart every second of the day. You start caring about things you never cared about before. You notice the way the sun sets and wonder if they're looking. At the same sky, you hear a song and immediately think of them. You walk through crowded streets and realize that no matter how many people are around you, the only person you truly want beside you is them. Love does that to us. It turns ordinary moments into memories. It turns silence into connection. It turns two separate lives into something that slowly begins to feel like one shared story. And the beautiful thing about love is that it doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't ask you to be flawless or strong every second of the day. In fact, real love often appears when we are at our most vulnerable, when we are tired, when we are broken, when we feel like the world doesn't understand us. That's when someone special walks into your life and looks at you, not with judgment, but with understanding. They see the parts of you that you try to hide. They see the scars you carry. They see the quiet sadness behind your smile, and instead of walking away, they stay. That kind of love changes everything because suddenly you realize that you're not alone anymore. There is someone who listens when you speak, someone who notices when your voice sounds a little heavier than usual, someone who understands your silence without needing explanations. And that is something incredibly rare in this world. Because the truth is, many people will cross your path in life. Many people will talk to you, laugh with you, even care about you for a while. But very few will truly see you. Very few will look beyond your surface and understand the person you are when nobody else is around. But when you find someone who does, someone who understands the quiet language of your heart, that connection becomes something deeper than simple affection. It becomes a bond that slowly grows stronger with every shared moment, every conversation late at night, every laugh that echoes between the two of you. Ooh, every difficult day where their presence makes the weight of the world feel a little lighter. And before you realize it, they are no longer just a person in your life. They are your comfort. They are the place your heart runs to when everything else feels uncertain. You start building memories together, small moments that may seem insignificant to the outside world, but mean everything to the two of you. A simple walk, a quiet conversation, a look that says more than words ever could. Those moments begin to shape your life in ways you never expected. Because love isn't always loud. Sometimes it exists in the quiet spaces between words. Sometimes it lives in the way someone gently holds your hand when you're feeling lost. Sometimes it shows itself in the way they stay beside you when life becomes difficult. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin to depend on that presence. Not in a weak way, but in a deeply human way. Because when someone becomes your emotional home, their absence creates a silence that nothing else can fill. You begin to imagine your future with them, not because you planned it, but because it feels natural. You think about the days ahead, the years that will pass, the memories that are still waiting to be created. And somewhere deep inside your heart, a quiet truth begins to grow. Life feels incomplete without them. It's not about losing your independence. It's not about forgetting who you were before they arrived. It's about realizing that your life became more meaningful once they became part of it. Love like that isn't about possession. It's about connection. It's about knowing that in a world filled with billions of people, your heart somehow chose one person to beat a little stronger for. And that choice, that invisible bond, becomes one of the most powerful forces in your life. You start protecting it. You start valuing every moment you share with them because deep down, you understand how rare it is to find someone who truly belongs in your heart. And that realization brings both beauty and fear. The beauty comes from the love you share. The fear comes from the thought of losing it. Because once someone becomes your emotional home, the idea of life without them feels impossible to imagine. Their presence becomes woven into your daily existence. Their voice becomes part of your peace. Their laughter becomes something your soul recognizes instantly. And without even meaning to, you begin to build your world around them. Not in a way that traps you, but in a way that makes life feel richer, deeper, more alive. Every conversation becomes a memory. Every moment together becomes something your heart holds on to. Because when love is real, it doesn't feel temporary. It feels timeless. It feels like something that was always meant to happen. And that is why the words, "I can't live without you," don't come from weakness. They come from truth. They come from the understanding that some people enter your life and change you forever. They teach you what love really means. They show you what it feels like to be understood without explanation. They remind you that no matter how difficult life becomes, there is someone who will stand beside you through it all. And once you experience that kind of connection, your heart begins to realize something powerful. Life without them would not feel the same. The laughter would sound quieter. The days would feel longer. The nights would feel emptier. because they didn't just enter your life. They became part of your story, part of your memories, part of the person you are becoming. And that is why loving someone deeply is one of the most beautiful experiences a human being can have. It transforms the way you see the world. It changes the way you understand yourself. It aches you that happiness is not always found in grand achievements or distant dreams. Sometimes happiness is simply found in the presence of the person you love, in the quiet comfort of knowing that someone truly cares about your heart, in the gentle certainty that no matter how chaotic life becomes, there is someone who will always look at you with the same warmth and understanding. And when you find that person, when your soul recognizes that rare connection, you begin to understand the meaning behind those simple but powerful words. I can't live without you. There is something about love that people rarely talk about. Everyone speaks about the beauty of love, the happiness, the excitement, the warmth of being close to someone who truly understands you. They talk about the smiles, the laughter, the moments when the world feels brighter because someone special is standing beside you. But hidden inside real love, there is another feeling, a quieter one, a feeling that doesn't always show itself in words. It's the quiet fear of losing the person who slowly became your home. Because when someone becomes that important in your life, when their presence becomes part of your peace, your heart begins to realize something it never understood before. You realize that love is not only about having someone, it's also about the possibility of losing them. And that thought, even when it is small, can shake the deepest parts of your soul. At first, you don't notice it. Everything feels perfect. You're simply enjoying the moments you share together, the conversations, the laughter, the quiet times when nothing needs to be said. You feel safe in the connection you have built. But slowly, something changes inside your heart. You begin to understand how much this person truly means to you. And when that realization becomes clear, another emotion quietly appears. Fear, not the kind of fear that makes you panic, but the kind that sits silently in the back of your mind. The kind that whispers a simple question when you least expect it. What if one day they're not here? Maybe when you're lying awake at night, maybe when you're watching them laugh and suddenly realizing how deeply you love them. Maybe when life reminds you that nothing in this world is guaranteed. And in those moments, your heart becomes very honest with itself. Because when someone becomes your emotional home, the idea of life without them feels almost impossible to imagine. Their presence is no longer just a part of your happiness. It has become part of your stability. The way they speak to you when you're tired, the way they understand you when the world feels overwhelming, the way their presence turns even the simplest moment into something meaningful. All of those things slowly weave themselves into your life. And without realizing it, you begin to build your emotional world around them. It's not something you plan, it's something that happens naturally when love grows deeper. You begin to notice how your heart reacts when something small goes wrong, when they don't answer your message for a while, when their voice sounds a little distant, when you sense that something is bothering them, but they haven't said it yet. Your heart becomes more sensitive to their emotions, because when someone becomes your home, their happiness and their pain begin to affect you in ways you never expected. You care about their peace as if it were your own. You want to protect them from sadness. You want to be the person who stands beside them when life becomes difficult. And that desire, that deep need to keep them safe, comes from love. But love also teaches us something difficult. It reminds us that we cannot control everything. No matter how deeply you care about someone, life is unpredictable. Time moves forward. Circumstances change. People face challenges that sometimes pull them in different directions. And that reality can create a quiet tension inside your heart. Because when you truly love someone, you want the connection to last forever. You want the story you are building together to continue without interruption. You want every tomorrow to include them. But love doesn't come with guarantees. It only comes with moments that become memories, moments that slowly build the emotional bond between two people. And the deeper those moments become, the more your heart understands what it would mean to lose them. You start noticing how important they are in ways that are difficult to explain. Their voice becomes familiar to your soul. Their presence becomes part of your comfort. Even their silence becomes something you understand. And because of that, the thought of their absence feels heavier than anything else. It's not just about missing someone, it's about feeling like a part of your world has disappeared. When someone becomes your emotional home, they hold a piece of your heart that nobody else can replace. And that's why the fear of losing them can feel so powerful. It doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean you depend on them in an unhealthy way. It simply means that your heart has allowed itself to love deeply, to trust someone with the most vulnerable parts of your soul. And that kind of trust is one of the bravest things a person can do, because loving someone always carries a risk: the risk of pain, the risk of heartbreak, the risk of facing a world where the person who once stood beside you is no longer there. But even with that risk, people still choose love. And that is one of the most beautiful things about the human heart. We know that love can hurt. We know that life can change. We know that nothing in this world lasts forever. And yet, when we meet someone who truly understands us, we still open our hearts. We still allow ourselves to care. We still choose to build memories with them, because the joy of loving someone deeply is stronger than the fear of losing them. When you look at the person you love, you realize that every moment with them matters. Every conversation, every quiet moment where the two of you simply exist in the same space, those moments become priceless, not because they are perfect, but because they are real. And the more time you spend together, the more your heart understands something important. Love is not about holding someone tightly out of fear. Love is about appreciating them fully while they are beside you. It's about recognizing their value every single day. It's about telling them how much they mean to you before life gives you a reason to regret your silence. Because sometimes people wait too long to express their feelings. They assume there will always be another opportunity, another conversation, another tomorrow. But life doesn't always give us unlimited chances. And that is why the quiet fear of losing someone can also become a powerful reminder. A reminder to love more honestly, to speak more openly, to cherish the person standing beside you right now. When you understand how fragile life can be, your love becomes deeper, your attention becomes stronger. You start noticing the little things about the person you care about, the way they smile when they're truly happy, the way they become quiet when something is bothering them, the way their presence changes the entire atmosphere of a room. Those small details become precious because your heart knows that every moment you share with them is part of a story that cannot be repeated, a story that only the two of you can create. And when you think about that story, you begin to understand why losing them would feel so painful. Not because you are afraid of being alone, but because life without them would feel incomplete. They didn't just become someone you love. They became someone who understands your soul, someone who walked beside you through moments that nobody else witnessed, someone who heard your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, someone who accepted you exactly as you are. And when a person becomes that deeply connected to your life, their presence leaves a permanent mark on your heart, a mark that time cannot erase. That is why the fear of losing them feels so real, because you know that some people cannot be replaced. Some connections only happen once in a lifetime. And when you find that rare connection, your heart holds on to it with everything it has, not out of desperation, but out of gratitude. Gratitude for the love you have experienced. Gratitude for the moments that shaped your life. Gratitude for the person who became your emotional home in a world that often feels uncertain.